Welcome back, nerds. Fino here with a commentated playthrough for the Gurugura Yamataikoku Challenge Quest. Not a guide per se, this video, because as you can see, that's not really a team you can reasonably replicate. In fact, we're actually going to do this fight wrong. Now, the idea here is that Nobunaga herself has a very high defense buff, which means that you're actually meant to kill Nobukatsu. Nobukatsu will pop his NP, kill himself, and also remove Nobunaga's defense buff, letting you fight her normally. That's the idea of how you're supposed to do this fight. We're going to do the opposite. Now, there are a number of servants that have defense-ignoring abilities, right? And unlike a bunch of special fights, Nobunaga has a defense buff, just a regular defense buff. It's a box buff, so you can't purge it, but you can't ignore it. Now, Kintoki's Noble Phantasm actually ignores that. However, we're actually going to use Sherlock anyway, and there's a couple of reasons for that. It opens up our face card options because, if you don't have Kintoki's NP up, you can't really damage her otherwise. I mean, you can with crits, but it's slow going and it's not super reliable. So yeah, what I'm going to do here is I've set it up so that with a card and a buster crit, Kintoki can actually pop Nobu's bar on turn 1. Mine can, anyway. 120 Kintoki, 2k, 2k foes. If that's somehow applicable to your own account, hey, more power to you. Yeah, really, this is an excuse for me to show off. I'm gonna be real with you. Now, normally you'd want an esports Sherlock for this, but thankfully we're fighting an Avenger. So Nobunaga really just needs one good crit, and Sherlock's down for the count. And there he goes. I also decided to run Chengong. Again, his buster and crit buff were quite useful for that turn 1 play. A little bit of reserve charge. Now, Scotty here may seem a little odd, but me having her in is actually deliberate, because I kind of want her to, not survive the 3 turns. Waver can. Waver was my first choice doing this, and it did not go so well. Although, as you're about to see, this one's not going to go so well either. We stun Nobunaga, which normally would be a good thing. However, I actually want to cycle Scotty out and get some more charge going. Yeah, that's the other reason why we run Sherlock. Because Nobukatsu will actually put invulnerability on Nobunaga if he's alive long enough. And it's a huge nuisance otherwise. Now, unfortunately for us, Scotty survived, which means we have to do it the hard way. Thankfully, we have a Kintoki Brave Chain. Not the ideal Brave Chain. Yeah, there's me noticing it right there. Yeah, ooh, crit on the quick card. Not quite what I wanted, but honestly more damage than I could reasonably expect. I think about scumming it, but I'm actually a little too slow on the draw here. So it ends up locking in. I might have been able to save a turn if I'd done that. But it is what it is. Yeah, there. What are you doing, Slowpoke? Yeah, just throwing some cards in. Let's just get her out of the way. Didn't want to go with a full Arch Chain because I thought the damage wouldn't really stick if I did that. And it was pretty close. Now, another complication for killing Nobunaga first is that Nobukatsu actually gets a bunch of buffs. One of those is a defense buff, which you think might be a problem, but it's for a limited number of turns. 4 turns, I think. And unfortunately, his Noble Phantasm stays sealed in this scenario, meaning you can't just have him get rid of himself. That said, we get a very nice hand on this turn, maybe a little too nice. Kind of would have wanted those buster cards for subsequent turns. I actually did some tests of this with the other approach, which is where you have Nobukatsu NP. Now, I did it with the version that uses an AoE, meaning that you pop Nobunaga and Nobukatsu on the first turn. I did it with Raiko and Sherlock. It was a bit of a mess, and speaking of messes, yeah. I got punished there. Don't worry about that. False timeline, that's a lost spell. But yeah, I popped Chengong's skill to mess with RNG, and also give me a little more protection if I need it. And down goes Nobukatsu's first bar. In a second, anyway. Yeah, I was talking earlier about servants with defense-ignoring NPs. There are a bunch of them, actually, and a ton of them are low rarity. But the problem is, a lot of those servants are bad. Well, you know, a lot of the low rarities are bad. But even the high rarities are a bit messy. Like, there's, I think Lancer Melt can do it. I need to double check that, but I'm pretty sure she can. I don't know if she'd be able to make the damage check against, like, Big Nobu properly, but you never know. Yeah. The problem with doing the kill Nobunaga first strategy is that A, it's kind of slow. And B, yeah, the requirements are quite high. So yeah, if you want to beat this fight for real, just, you know, do the reasonable thing. Run a Lancer, I guess, like a frontline Lancer, just blow up Nobukatsu, and then sick your local Moon Cancer onto Nobunaga. That should do the trick, but you know, I'll do a run with that as well. And if necessary, I'll go a little more in-depth on the fight's mechanics. Yeah, so, out of prudence, I think to save Mash's invuln here, so I can, you know, buy extra time with it. Then I realized I could just NP next turn, right? With, like, an Arts Chain. And I'm already committed, so, yeah, of course I'm punished. Mash dies and I waste another turn. Yeah, thankfully this Castoria that I borrowed happened to have a, an overcharge buff. I believe from the 5-star event CE, the Gacha CE anyway. So I get quite a bit of protection. Yeah, 2 hits there. Pretty good. And yeah, at this point, it's over. Nobukatsu's defense buff is gone. So all we have to do is put him out of our misery. And of course, we get a... Yeah, we could dual Buster Brave Chain on the turn where it doesn't really matter. And yeah, there you go. Scratch 1 Nobunaga siblings. Easy peasy, and your reward is 3 bones and a heart. And I guess a lore too, but big deal. Actually, I could use a few more of those. Not on JP, but